Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to the Truth Talk podcast. I'm back here with Jay.
What up, everyone?
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Netflix show Black Mirror and its predictions that have come true. Let's get right into it. Black Mirror is a TV show that was released on Netflix back at the end of 2011. The show was a series of standalone dramas that explored the dark possible outcomes of our technological-driven world. Black Mirror showed the viewers how the technology we came to love and depend on can turn into the very thing that could end up destroying us. On this channel, we have spoken about predictive programming in the past and how Hollywood is used by those who run our world to prepare and program the masses for their future plans. The show Black Mirror is literally an entire show created for this very purpose. We have spoken about Netflix several times on this channel, and I have already shown many different instances where Netflix shows it is being used by the Masonic Order. Netflix produces occultic programming to normalize its viewers to occultic practices. With Black Mirror, they have showed the masses the plans for the dark future they have planned for us. Episode after episode, Black Mirror showed us a glimpse of our pending future, where we're just seeing as dramatic, exaggerated examples of what the future could be are now becoming our reality. In this podcast, Jay and I will be talking about some of the Black Mirror episodes that seem to have predicted the future and show just how open these people display their plans. The first episode we need to talk about is the episode called Nosedive, which takes place in a society that is ran by individualized social scores given to each member of the public. These social scores determine your status in society and allow you to do everyday things. In the show, we see just how horrible this scoring system could be and how cold it can turn our society. While this might sound like something that could only happen in a movie, I can assure you this isn't the case. This social score system is already in place in China with its social credit system. Similar to this episode in Black Mirror, the Chinese government has assigned social scores to people based on their behavior in everyday life, specifically financial, criminal, and social behaviors. When I first heard about this, I found it very, very alarming because when you think about it, our world is already really ran by Instagram and technology, and we depend on it so much. But imagine if each and every one of us had a scoring system that would allow us to eat at a certain restaurant, allow us to ride certain transportation. And if you didn't score enough, you were kind of shunned from society.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is a popularity contest, because like you said, it gives the public too much power on what you can do. When one mistake could define your entire life, be it something small like you cut someone in line or cut someone off in traffic, it kind of creates this fear where people are living under the fear of, you know what, my whole life could be ruined if I do one thing by mistake. You know what I mean? Think of you bump into someone and they drop their food and they rate you down, and now you can't ride the train or you can't go to your favorite restaurant anymore, all because of a misunderstanding with somebody else.
That's exactly what is shown in the show too. That's how it's used. Any mistake can ruin a person's, life.
I mean, just think about it. Like, as humans, we have bad days sometimes. Think about having a bad day, and that could define the rest of your life just because maybe you slept on the wrong side of the bed and you rubbed someone the wrong way. Now you can't go to your favorite restaurant. You can't go to the gym that you like. You can't hang out with your friends because their scores are different from yours. It's a scary dystopian future, in my opinion.
It's not that far in the future if we're already seeing it implemented in China. The system that China has mirrors this system very well. It's basically the exact same thing, give or take. The way that China has it, they're saying that it's really only for businesses, that it's only really being implemented on businesses, but yet everybody has a score. So that doesn't sound like it's only being focused on businesses. And when you think about it, could be another way for them to calmly, without raising alarms, set this system on its population without the people showing much pushback, just truly accepting it. Because if I present this to you saying, oh, this is only for us to really monitor how companies treat their employees and how they treat their people and their score for, their society, and if they recycle and this and such. But in reality, that could be the way how they just get people to accept it, and then they roll it out and it's used widely on just about everybody for just about everything, like we see in the show. And it's alarming because what is done in China could be possibly done here. So if it's happening there, it could definitely happen here. That should be concerning because, like I said earlier, we already live in a world where social media determines a large part of our life. What we're seen as on social media, it kind of determines who we are. In some ways, it could even affect your opportunities. Nowadays, companies, when they hire you, they go through your social media. They make sure they want to know who you are and you're kind of giving them private information like this. But now if we live in a world where you have no choice, everything that you do is marked, everything that you do affects you, even if it's just basic everyday activities, that can literally destroy the lives of so many people who, like you said, make a mistake one time and now they lose their jobs and they can't afford to pay their bills because their social score has dropped. And I can only imagine how the system is truly working in China.
But take it to the next level too, and who's to say that people are really controlling the social score? What if, for example, let's say someone out there is saying things that the people that control this system don't want to be told, and all of a sudden their scores start to nosedive, and all of a sudden they can't do anything. They're shunned in society. They can't get a job. They can't feed themselves. They can't do anything, all because they stood out. Like, think of someone that's out there preaching the truth, and the powers that be, the ones that who are really behind this social score, they don't like it, and next thing you know, the truth teller is getting shunned in society. Their score is nosediving. They're not able to go to places. They're not able to talk to anywhere. They can't interact with society anymore. Therefore, the truth doesn't get told. It's kind of scary, and it goes back into that whole thing where it's control. It controls. Like with the whole chip in the brain, it's just control. It's all about control.
In a way, we already kind of experiencing that now with, you can get blacklisted and you can get shadow banned and canceled, thrown off of, platforms for speaking the truth, for speaking what you think is the truth at least. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about the next episode. The next episode we need to talk about is the entire history of you, which is focused on a society where every member had implanted a chip in their brain that allows them to record everything they see, storing it forever. The chip also allows the user to block people they don't want to interact with. In the episode, we see how privacy has been stripped away. In the show, the authorities were forcing citizens to show what they have seen in the last 48 hours to make sure they didn't do anything illegal, which in my opinion is beyond the breach of privacy. Just like in the Black Mirror episode, one of the richest men in the world, Elon Musk, is actually working on creating a chip that implants right into your brain. We spoke about Elon's Neuralink implant on how it would be used to connect people to the internet. I believe this is the first true step of merging man with technology. Another similar technology being created that was obviously predicted by Black Mirror is Samsung's new contact lenses with an integrated camera that would allow its users to record everything they see in real time. This is predictive programming at its finest. This is how they prepare us to accept their plans. To many people, this might appear very interesting and very cool, this new piece of technology that would allow you to record your life as you live it, and in a way, you can see how people can spin it as for a safety purpose. Oh, it'll allow you to record everything that's happening to you, and you can have more proof for authorities. But just think about the negative way this could be used. I think that there's way more negative from something like this being available than there is positive. What would you say, Jay?
It's crazy. You think about it now. We have some form of that in the form of like social media. Advertisement companies, the way they track us with social media and everything else, they know about what we're doing, when we're doing, and then there's certain agencies out there that track what you're doing beforehand. So if you're doing high risk activities, if you're doing things that could be perceived as risky or something they don't want you to do, the authorities that seem to know about it. They'll know about it whether they care about it. So there's always someone watching. I mean, you remember the whole thing a few years ago when it was exposed that certain agencies were tracking phone calls without any type of authority, all under the guise of public safety. Just imagine every single phone call you were having, no matter how intimate it was being listened to by someone to make sure that you weren't doing something that someone else deemed inappropriate. It's the same thing with this contact lens. Imagine you walk by someone and they just recorded what you were doing. You never know. You could be doing something private. You could have been sending a message on your phone that someone just walked by and saw it with their contact lens, and they could have broadcasted it to the world. You don't know what's going to happen with it.
What's very interesting as well when you think about this chip being able to record people is the part in the episode where the police were stopping people and forcing them to show them what they've done in the last 48 hours. I think it was 48 hours. It might have been longer. Imagine a world like that, where in order for you to enter this public building, you have to show the authorities what you've done in the last 48 hours, everything you've done. And that's very odd. It just shows how much they want to control us. It just shows the amount of control that they have in mind really doesn't have any limitations. They want to see everything that we're doing. And you can argue now that they possibly are already doing that with our smartphones. Our smartphones have cameras on them, and people believe that, like you said, the government was using our conversations to basically spy on us. Why wouldn't they use our cameras on our camera phones to do the same thing? This would take things to a new level. You might have your phone on you often, but to see what you see with your eyes is completely different. You understand? And for them to actually have footage of it stored that they can access whenever they desire, that is the most scariest thing to me, especially since I know so many people are going to openly accept this. So many people see this as something so beneficial, something so good. oh, now I'm able to record my entire life and have memories of it and remember, just like they were showing it in the show initially. They didn't start showing the bad side of it until the end. But in reality, you realize that it's just to push our society into this digital world where they have even more control, where everything we have done has been recorded and is watched, and they're able to know exactly what we're doing at all times. One thing that I've found very interesting as well is the chip being implemented in the brain. That's literally exactly what Elon Musk is trying to do with Neuralink. It's the exact same thing. And in the show, we see how they're trying to portray it as this positive thing, how it's going to help society, how it's going to make things conveniently better for people. And it's the same thing that Elon is doing with his Neuralink. He's telling people, oh yes, it's going to help the disabled. It's going to improve their lives and it'll help them walk and fix things for them. But he's also not really telling people that he's planning on using it to connect people directly to the metaverse and to merge people with technology and to spy on people as well, record their data. This would be the best piece of technology for advertisers. Advertisers are now going to be able to see everything that you do all day long and now can market to you even more specific than ever. That is like beyond scary to me. The next episode we need to talk about is Playtest, which is about a man who applies to try out this new AI-driven VR game for a famous video game company. The game was a horror game like no other, as the game would learn the player and then recreate their worst fears, bringing it to life. In the game, we see how the AI VR kept taking things too far until it ended up ending the player in the real world. Well, as far-fetched as this episode might sound, believe it or not, there's a company actually making a VR game that if you die in the game, you also do in real life. The founder of the VR headsets, Oculus, actually created a VR game that would end you in real life when you lose. I honestly don't know why he would create this game, but we know if Black Mirror shows it, it's most likely going to happen. This is the twisted evolution of video games, as gamers just want their games to feel as real as possible, and it can't get any more real than this. Honestly, this is one of the episodes that I found extremely disturbing, and it was actually pretty scary when you think about it. You know, as a kid, I always wanted to play VR games. I looked at VR like this amazing piece of technology that was gonna put me directly in the game, and I wanted to play it so bad. I remember specifically a Fairly Odd Parents episode where Timmy Turner is playing on this VR headset and it puts him in the game. And to me, that was mind-blowing because as a child, I loved video games. I wanted the games to appear more real. I wanted the graphics to be the greatest. I wanted the gameplay to be great because I wanted to be in that world. Now, this is no longer a dream. This is an actual possibility. You can buy a VR headset and jump into a virtual world. But imagine if that virtual world had risk to it. If you literally die in the game, you no longer exist in real life. I wonder if anybody would even want to play this game. I wonder if anybody would even try this.
I mean, it's the ultimate level of immersion. You think about people who are like thrill seekers, people that go skydiving for fun, people that do rock climbing with no safety. It's that thrill. It's scary when you start to blur the line between a game and reality, where you're playing a game for your life. Kind of like some of those shows that I've seen where when you're no longer tell what's real, what's not, where do you go from there? It's kind of like that show, Squid Game. It wasn't much of a video game, but it was like a game show, and you were literally playing for your life, you know? People were gambling their lives away just for a chance at making some money, and they were doing some pretty heinous things just to try and get ahead. When you talk about these video games where if you lose in the game, you lose in real life, what people would actually play this game? You think about it, because like you said, when I played video games, I loved immersion. I tried to immerse myself in one of the games to have the graphics that made it look as real as possible, but I wouldn't play a game that would mean if I lost in the game, there's no respawn, I'm over. I wouldn't play that game.
I honestly think that there's some people that would, though. I think that people would see this as the ultimate gaming experience, you know? The gaming experience that actually matters. You're playing this game and you have everything to lose if you lose, and you have to have the ultimate skill, and it matters if you do. Because at the end of the day, video games are fun, but they don't matter. They don't have any real outcome in the real world. You understand? You might be a gamer and make money off video gaming, but what you do in the video game itself doesn't truly matter. It is literally just a game. But what if it does matter? What if you actually have to play for your life? If something happens to you in this game, you're gone. And it's scary because I'm telling you, our world today, they will accept a game like this. The people that are out there now, they want this. They would openly accept a game like this and they would praise it. They would mention that they play this game almost as an honorable thing. I could lose it all if I lost in the game, and they're proud to play this. There's people that go skydiving They'll risk their entire lives for that thrill, and then they'll brag about it. So many people have this on their bucket list. So I would see a game like this being bought, not by everybody, but definitely by a lot of people. Because like I said, this is only the beginning. Who knows if later in the future there'll be a lot more games like this.
Well, I watched a show, something like that. It was like an online video game, but once you logged in, you couldn't log out until you beat the game. And very similar to what we're talking about. If you lost in the game, you lost in real life. There would be no coming back. And it was an animated show, it was fiction and everything, but kind of put into perspective because it was from a popular company, a popular developer in that universe that made this game. And all the players that logged in didn't think that they wouldn't be able to log out once they started. So it's interesting to think of if that game were to come out in real life, how many people would get tricked into getting into the game, you know what I mean? And only have one choice.
It's a form of predictive programming, in my opinion. And it's something that we've seen so many times throughout Hollywood, entertainment industry. They show us their plans to normalize it to us, you know? So we see it, oh, we saw this in a show. In your brain, you're not looking at it as this out of this world thing anymore. If we've been seeing it throughout different shows and movies, you know, this is a technique that they've done for centuries. And when we talk about VR gaming and stuff, when it comes to simulators, that's a way of programming the mind. Exactly like what they're doing to us with these TV shows and movies. They're showing us what our future is going to look like through these TV shows and movies. We are accepting it. So when it does be revealed to us, we're not looking at it like it's out of this world anymore. The next episode we need to talk about is Be Right Back, an episode that dealt with a woman who lost her husband and decided to recreate him using technology. In this episode, the protagonist uses a company that brings her late husband back, at least virtually, until she orders a human form of him. In the show, the company uses the person's data to recreate their voice and behaviors, so people can always have their lost loved ones. As strange as this might be, a few companies are actually already offering this service, and Microsoft would be doing this in the near future as well. This is a way where those who run our world will play God using their technology. This is very strange to me because when a loved one passes away, I don't really think that I want to talk to a virtual version of them or even any version of them.
Yeah, but like, I think that just pervades. Like, I think that's just a way of exploiting everyone's biggest fear, you know? Because in life, it's one of those things that's permanent. And to think we all have loved ones and we want to keep them around forever, to kind of use that against you and try to make it seem like, you know what, you can keep your loved one forever. It doesn't have to be goodbye just because they ran out of time. So to kind of use that to exploit, and then it all goes back to like, in reality, you're not the one creating these memories. So they're pretty much going to dictate the memory of your loved one and just exploit the weakness that you're showing, the vulnerability that you're showing because of grief.
When you think about it like this, they're monetizing and making money off your loved one. You understand? They don't honestly care about you. They're just doing a job. So they're going to create this program real quick, you know, program this AI to act like someone that they believe is your husband using your data. They're literally just making money off someone who passed away and off of your loved one's grief. I also was reading that there's a company that would take the brain and freeze the brain, and then later when the technology is available, put the brain into a robot or an AI thing, and now you have your loved one living in that way. If that's not playing God, then what is?
That's literally the definition of God, deciding when someone goes and they don't.
Things like that shouldn't be available. Things like that shouldn't be done. But I promise you, just like I said with the VR game, I see this being used. I see people doing this because like a lot of people have a hard time letting go. But in the show, we see how she took things too far when she orders a human version of him. You know, that it's like it's an AI human version of him. And I believe that's also can be in our future as well. If you have the money, you can remake your loved one. All of that just seems like playing God way too much. We already know that we all live and go, and no one can live forever. But we've seen time and time again that the billionaires of our world have been desperately trying to make themselves live forever. This is something that they want. And now they're telling you, we're going to find a way. We have ways where we can at least make you live forever through technology. And it goes back to, like I always say, technology is what's being used to bring in the New World Order. You know, the New World Order, in my opinion, is a digital world. Well, that's it for this episode, guys. If you guys want to see a part 2 where we go through some more Black Mirror theories, let us know below in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace out, everyone.
I just wanted to give a special shout out to the Truth Movement members. I truly appreciate every single one of you. If you'd like to further support the channel, join the Truth Movement, or you can join me on Patreon where I drop exclusive videos monthly. The link would be in the description. Another way you can further support the channel is by checking out the TrueFit store and seeing if you find anything you like. Every purchase you make helps with the funding of Truth Records. The link to the TrueFit store is also in the description. Also, please leave a comment on your thoughts on this video and on any future topics you would like to see me cover on my channel. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of future videos. If you like this video, please leave a like as it helps other people find these videos. You can also find me on TikTok and Instagram and follow me there. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.